This. Let's talk about the
How
city
about
of...
some of your sponsors?
I can't do that till the radio comes back. City of Opelousas Parks and Recreation is having their master plan sports park groundbreaking over on West Cherry, where they're supposed to be building a new park. That's Wednesday, July the 6th at 10 o'clock in the morning. They're going to cut the ribbon. You can call Charlotte at 948-2520 on that.
It's coming Wednesday.
That's correct. And we also...
What about your sponsors?
I can't till the radio gets
they're
back.
still, okay, I'm sorry. They're still
And we also have the St. Larry Parish Tourist Commission coming up with Georgie and Alan Manuel this Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., July the 2nd, at the Northern Tourist Center right here on I-49 at exit 23. They're going to show the traditional Mardi Gras mask. Now, Miss Georgie, a lot of people, the mask that you and I have, you've got the old-timey mask with the old-timey costume and the rags. I don't know if you remember all that. You've got some of that.
I do.
The wire mask. You've gotten one of those over the years. The old-time wire mask.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a mask.
Mask.
Oh.
Let me see it clear.
Yeah, make it clear.
Welcome back, KSLO.
Make it clear.
The old-timey Mardi Gras mask.
Yeah,
they
I
make
have
it screen.
one. And I tell you what, people don't recognize
And
you.
people don't recognize you, and they paint the mask.
And you see out of it just like you see in
Miss Georgie
right now.
makes most of those, but her mother and I think her grandmother would make those for years in the Eunice area. They're doing a big display. They're bringing antique masks and also new ones there, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. this Friday at the St. Larry Parish Visitor Center.
Well, then if we're talking about that,
go ahead.
Our friend,
go ahead.
Oh, shoots. Donald Robinson, I'll get it out pretty soon. What he's in charge of the St. Landry Council on Aging.
Correct.
And I want to add real quick here that he's been in that position for years. You've never heard one thing that isn't squeaky clean about the operation of that. You don't see any audits coming back with all kind of bad figures showing up, or they can't find the figures, even worse than that. Not Donald Robinson and his organization. Anyhow, on his truck he had a little sign, Robinson Weaving Shop. So when I was walking out of my car at the Citgo station after Mass on Sunday, go there and eat a fried egg sandwich, and I said, your daddy did that kind of work, didn't he? He says, Daddy did it for many, many years. I said, I remember that they would invite him to all the functions around Washington and in a lot of other places. But Donald has kept on the specialty of chair caning. And so any of you out there, that's not easy.
The old wooden chairs, the ladder style chairs, and they had that cane seat. I have
and it lasts for years and years. But they do get bad, and this is the guy you need to contact. And also he told me something else about his dad. He says that I didn't realize he operated a shoe repair shop in Washington for 43 years. And I never knew about it, but I'm sure the people in Washington all knew about it. So it's specialty chair caning, pickup and delivery, and his phone number is 308, that's his cell number, 1692, 308-1692. All of you people out there in the world, and more particular in Acadiana, that would be needing of this service, I can assure you one thing, it's going to be a fair price and it's going to be a well done job. This guy everything is just right about Donald Robinson.
I've got two old chairs from my great grandparents, the Smiths from Church Point, that are cane chairs, beautiful chairs. All right, now we got to hit some sponsors because we're running up on the back end and we didn't get nobody on the first half. So let's go with Piggly Wiggly. You know, it's 4th of July weekend. Everybody's going to barbecue.
Oh, yes.
You know, you talked about barbecue earlier. If you're going to go out to eat, you know, the shed's a good place. But if you're going to stay home or maybe go somewhere to barbecue yourself, go by Piggly Wiggly. They got medium pork spare ribs, the 2 slabs, big slabs, $1.79 a pound. They got boneless ribeye steaks, $5.99 a pound. That's Angus beef. And they got leg quarters in a 10-pound bag at 59 cents a pound. So when you're feeding that big group of vache, as I say, so when I got everybody comes, they graze at my house, the cows come, I cook a bunch of them chicken quarters so we can fill everybody up. Then we put a couple of the ribs and all to sample as well. Go by, they can hook you up over at Piggly Wiggly with locations throughout South Louisiana, 2 locations in Opelousas, 1 in Church Point, 1 in Rains, Scott, Cecilia, and St. Martinville. 4th of July weekend, the pig knows best. And one other thing I want to remind you about, my little boy plays soccer with the OC soccer team. And the summer league, of course, needs sponsorship because it's outside the school year. Piggly Wiggly is one of the few companies I see that actually sponsors the soccer teams. Almost every other soccer team, the kids have to put up their own money to play. OC is one of the few groups that has an actual corporate sponsor to pay
Kevin
the
and
jerseys
Jody
and
do
all.
a good job for the community.
Fantastic.
You know what they do for us
And-
at Christmas time when I'm Santa Claus and we have that big
And-
fundraising breakfast. They're there to help.
And I heard one of the other parents say, it doesn't cost them a lot to do that, but it's nice that they do it. I said, well, it doesn't cost a lot when there's only one team. But you got to realize that these guys participate in so many different projects in the parish, across South Louisiana, all the good things they do. Thank you, Piggly Wiggly.
I want to say a few big thank yous real
ahead.
quick, if you give me a
I'll
chance.
let you sneak in.
Robert and Jean McBride, I sold them a lot on Megan Drive, and they sent me the most beautiful thank you note. So to Robert Earl and Jean McBride, thank y'all so much. Usually the seller would thank them, but you read it. It's
That's very
beautiful
nice.
wording and
Beautiful
the
card.
handwriting. Jean must have gone to school just for handwriting.
Calligraphy? What do they call it? Calligraphy.
Well, it's not
almost
quite
calligraphy.
that, but it's almost that. It's that good. We'll put it. It's comparable to C. Louvier at DCG's.
Right.
And another person, real quick, is I'm having some problems with the Honda ignition switch. So I went into Moss Motors, the Honda distributor in Lafayette on Surrey Street, picked up a kit. The young lady that waited on me told me that I'd have to have it keyed. I said, well, y'all want to do that? He said, well, we don't do that, but we recommend. No, I said, do you recommend anyone? She says, Lafayette, I'll get it, locksmith service on Calais Saloon Road, 411 Calais Saloon Road. So I boogied on down there, and let me tell you, I found some young guys working in there that are very polite, very professional, and efficient. And one of them I want to thank is Kyle, waited on me, and Mr. Luke Brignac is the president. You've got a good team of young people answering the phone and taking care of business. And the business was like that. Can y'all see that? It was tick in that building.
It was tick.
It's not a big building, but it was tick.
It wasn't tin.
That was just inside the building, and they have several trucks taking
On the road.
taking care of business. So anyhow, good people to know. Last week over at the Palace Cafe, met up with Lawston Bork, a longtime friend, and I kidded him about Crawfish Town in Henderson. He used to have a table that was reserved, and next to him was another table reserved for Governor Edwin Edwards. And I kidded him about that. And well, today, I think they're married. They're definitely going out. One of the owners the originators of the Crawfish Town Crawfish Place was Deanna.
Right.
And her former husband. Now they operating, Deanna and Lawston are operating Crazy Bout Crawfish. Cajun Cafe, when you get into Breaux Bridge,
Right.
on the right-hand side, about a half a mile, you can't miss it. There's always a crowd. It's like that around there. So I've got to go and visit them.
No kidding.
And right now, they've got some crabs, they say, that are that big. Now, you might have to call and make sure they pick you some select
Now,
ones.
I'm not just going to take your word for it. I have to go see.
Well, I want
know
you to go
that.
see. And
You know that.
if they're not good, I'll pay for them.
And when Deanna and Jerry had the place for years, I mean, it was first class. Now, I saw Edwin Edwards might get his own reality show. You read that in the paper?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd like to see him go out and
Just quietly?
enjoy. Well, go out and enjoy life. He's been incarcerated.
So
and
you're saying I mailed my resume too fast? I figured if
you were wanting to get on the show?
Well, if I sit with Bobby
Well, no.
Dupree on TV every week, why would I not want to sit by Edwin Edwards on the weekend?
Well,
because probably a weekend show, I'm sure.
Well, as long as it doesn't interfere
Oh.
here, because I'll fire you
Well,
tomorrow.
I'm not
if
going to
you-
cut out my good job. That would be a side job.
I see. You're not going to cut your daytime job
Well,
out.
no, this would
Okay.
be a sideline.
I just want to
Wouldn't
make
that
sure.
be good? I mean, I could put on my resume, all I did was run with Bobby Dupree and Edwin Edwards. That'd be a pretty good resume.
And when I went to pick up my keyed ignition from Lafayette locksmith shop, we stopped in at Café Envie, which is Envie is wanting. So
Right.
it's good. And Vic is the bartender there. She just does not stop. She's just in motion. You know that little battery?
She took care of the envies you had.
Oh,
she
yeah.
made sure to give you something cold.
She gives you a good cold beer. gives you some ideas of what foods. But in the meantime, here comes Julie and Chris. They're the two chefs there. They happen to be twin sisters. They don't look exactly alike, but you can see the
They're
resemblance.
sisters.
Their dad is Mr. George Weatherford. He's out of town in Alaska, viewing the beautiful scenery in Alaska. But they brought me two, and I had Ramp with me. They brought us two samples of hors d'oeuvres. One was a seafood boulette with their own sauce on it.
I know that is a boulette.
Well, it's good. And then the other was a pork wing. Well, a pork wing.
That's the front wings on the pig or the back wings?
Well, that's the small legs. She
small legs
specifies
on
they
the
come
pig.
off of a pig that's between 60 and 70 pounds. I mean, these girls, these chefs, not girls,
Yeah.
these young chefs, they're particular.
I got to get some sponsors, and this is so good, but I got to cut it.
Then Ken Back, who was in Opelousas years
Right.
ago with the Planters, he came by to say hello. A Broussard with Setco, he came by to say hello. And a young lady walked in, and I got to, naturally, I had to break the ice.
Right.
Alyssa Fuselier, she's a medical transcriptionist, and she works kind of solo. So she was telling me that she's got some clients in the, what's the old Hyman
All center.
oil center, in the oil center. She says, I have a doctor there that gives me a lot of work. I said, it wouldn't happen to be Dr. John Mickey.
There you go.
She almost dropped
man.
the water glass she was drinking out of when we. I said he's been my doctor since 1988, and a good one I might add, a cardiologist. My family doctor is still Dr. Richard Tate right here in Opelousas.
Right.
But anyhow, Alyssa works on her own and apparently does a good job. I could say a lot more, but good morning to you, Alyssa, and of course Chris, and Julie, and Vicky at Café en Vic.
We're going to welcome you on the other side of the half hour, the only show in
What?
Acadiana with no sponsors. But we're going to take care of them in the second half. Thank y'all for watching.
You
We'll see
mean-
y'all on the other side of 3.